We're going to tie a Hydropsyche, caddis Hydropsyche. The hook I'm using is a Daiichi 1770 in a size 16, or you can use a Tiemco 400T. Thread I'm using is 17-aught uni tricot thread. Tie it in about midsection, bring it back, way back into the butt section of the hook. I've got a couple of pieces of peacock curl, and they've been stripped off, pulled off the stem, middle stem of the peacock curl, so I get a little bit of a slip, so I can use that as the quote-unquote legs or paddles. The reason I'm doing this video is to show you a different technique. I just love, and we all love, the segmentation that a strip peacock curl creates when you wrap it. You strip off those little hairs, and then you just wrap it, and it just overlaps it, and it's gorgeous. Well, I wanted to keep some of those little hairs and use them as the legs or the gills or whatever on a nymph. So I figured out a way to do that, and that's the reason I tied this fly. It's really simple. It's part of the process anyway as you tie the fly. So this makes it really easy. So I've tied in those two butts. I've left those two sections out there. Those are my paddles or tail or whatever. I'm taking my peacock curl and I'm just wrapping it. I'm brushing the little hairs backwards a bit with a little bit of saliva, and I'm just wrapping concentric wraps and butting them up against each other. Now I've actually used two different colors. I'm just using caddis for the example today, caddis green. And I'm just wrapping it up into the front. I'll brush back those hairs. Doesn't really matter. It's funny, but it actually lines up really well when you wrap it like this. I just love this look, but I also wanted the look of the segmentation that the bare peacock quilt creates. So take that peacock curl and bring it up right where it starts to bend upwards again. I'm going to tie it off here. When you see how easy this is, you just got to try it out. You get all the advantages of both the segmented stripped peacock as well as the little iridescence of the peacock itself. So I'm going to tie this off. And I'm going to take a bit of saliva, wet my fingers, and brush down this peacock curl. I suppose you could just go ahead and nail it down with UV resin, but it'll go fuzzy on you and it won't lay down properly. So what I've taken is an electric eraser, and I just run it across the top. You got to be careful a little bit. Don't press too hard. And see how it creates a groove in the eraser? Well, it actually comes down along the sides of the fly also. So it takes it off really nicely. The only place that gets a little touchy is right at the butt section where you tied it in at. Now, I've actually also done this with pheasant tail. Works real well with pheasant tail and peacock and turkey. That does not work with ostrich curl. The stems on the ostrich curl is just too thin and it just chews it up. So I've got most of that fuzz out of there. I'm just going to take some canned air, some compressed air, and just blow that thing clean. Now I'm going to take a little bit of UV knot sense and I'm going to coat it just like you would normally do on a nymph. So I get the segmentation. Once again, I get that gorgeous segmentation. And I get the iridescence from the little hairs. This is the UV resin in the thick. I like it because it flows. It's self-leveling is what it does. You don't want it to get too far down along the sides. It'll start looking clumpy, but for our purposes, this worked really, really well. So you get that nice thin profile, no, very little buildup, and you saved you've got gills. Now you can try this with a lot of other nymphs. I've actually done it with quite a few different kinds of nymphs. I just wanted to show you this so that you could see the technique. And I'm just making sure I get enough UV resin on the sides. It holds up really, really well. Haven't had a fish bite through that yet. I'm going to hit it with my laser. It only takes a couple seconds with this laser. This laser will light a match, given the chance. With no tackiness. Now I'm going to take a piece of medallion sheeting that's about 3/16 in width. This stuff is the original medallion sheeting that Shane made. This is in the mottled green. Now I'm going to take some black peacock herl and use it as my thorax. You could actually add a feather or something in here to give it a little bit longer legs, but I just like the peacock. This is, for demonstration purposes, took me 10 minutes. If I wasn't videotaping, you can do it even faster. Be careful here. My buddy Nick Bell always reminds me not to crowd the head. I have a tendency to do that, and he does too. Good trim. You can see these little nail clippers that I have. They're concave, and they cut to the quick. And they only run about $4 at a Walgreens. I'll brush that down, pull my wing case over, and tie it off. Once again, trim it using those nippers. Now, I get a little fuzz under the eye. My eyesight's not so good nowadays, so I know I need to trim that out of there. I'm just going to burn it off. And I'm going to touch up that white thread with a black marker. Take a bit of UV nonsan or UV resin in the thick and coat the head or thorax or wing case. And hit it with my laser again. And that's my little caddis Hydropsyche. Try this technique when you get a chance.